What's up, and welcome to another episode of Winged Octopus. This is Tyler here, alongside Greg. Tess is not joining us this week. Greg, how you doing tonight?
I mean, I had the flu last week, so I've been better. That's why we haven't recorded a podcast in a while. But I'm on the up and up. I can mute my microphone to cough, so I'm good.
That's a good
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. You know, it's 50 degrees here today, so I mean that's a plus, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, it's 50 here too. All our snow melted.
Yeah, that's a good thing. We're getting more snow on Saturday though, so I guess that's not a good thing. But you guys don't need to hear about my problems. So you know, the Red Wings are going nowhere fast, and today we have two quick subjects. Like I said, Tess is not joining us tonight. Greg, I just want you to shout out the sponsors, and then we can get right into it.
Yes, so our sponsor is Howie's Hockey Tape. Howie's Hockey Tape distributes to most of the major leagues, including the NHL and the AHL, even the Red Wings, who are currently losing 2-0 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. Anything you need for the locker room, Howie's has. Visit their website, howieshockeytape.com or .ca for our Canadian listeners. And if you buy something, use the promo code WINGEDO to save yourself 10%. Go to Howie's, support a Michigan product.
Yeah, Howie's has some really good stuff, especially the wax they have and the tape and everything. So yeah, guys, check them out for sure.
Yep. So tonight what we're going to talk about is just a couple things. We're going to talk about, and I know we stressed it a little bit in a couple podcasts ago, but we're going to talk about what we feel are basically the guaranteed trades to happen before or at the deadline. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how Jeff Blashill is going to be wrapping up his coaching career in Detroit. But Tyler, we'll start off with who we believe are the guaranteed trades coming up.
Yeah, so we were kind of talking about this briefly off air. I think that it's a foregone conclusion. Mike Green's obviously gone. I think Xavier Ouellet, the experiment with him is probably over. I think he's another guy that could be attractive to other teams. I think that one of Nyquist and Tatar could be gone. And I also think that one of the goalies could be gone as well. And I'm not sure if that means the Red Wings have given up on Peter Mrazek, or if that means that they're going all in on Peter Mrazek and they're going to trade Jimmy Howard. He did say that he would waive his no trade clause. I believe it was last year. And going into this summer here. So, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think that, you know, you're going into these trade deadlines and these free agencies and stuff like that, hoping that your team's going to do a million things. I think that if they did Mike Green, they did Gus Nyquist, and they did one of the goalies, I think that would be probably the best thing they could do. I know that Mike Green's gone, though. That's for certain.
Yeah, Mike Green is definitely gone. A couple of the interesting things that I've heard is I was listening to another podcast at work today, and the host basically gave it with 75% certainty that Jimmy Howard will go to most likely the Islanders, with Halak coming back. Halak is up at the end of this year, I believe, which would leave us with Mrazek. Now, I don't know about all in on Mrazek because even though he's gotten his consistency back recently, he still had that very long drought of inconsistent play. Mike Green,
well, I'd like to bring up one other quick thing too, and this should come as no surprise. The Red Wings did draft a goaltender in the 6th round, I believe it was, and I mean that should tell you right there that they're not 100% sold on Peter Mrazek.
No, we've got
Howard, for that matter.
Yeah, we've got 3 good goaltenders coming up. We've got Petruzzelli coming up. We've got Jorn Van Pottelberg, who played for his national team, and we've got Larson, who also played for the Swedish team. So we've got good goalies in the pipeline. It's just getting them developed will be bad for a few years, so let them develop for a few years. The other one that's probably what?
No, I when we get done with this, I have one question for you, and it's just a general question.
Yeah, I'll just finish out what I was going to say real quick.
Yeah.
So either Tatar or Nyquist are gone. Most likely Nyquist. He shows the most interest. The wild card that's also showing interest is Danny DeKaiser for some reason. I'd trade him for a box of Lucky Charms, get him out of here.
I agree.
What's your
I'd drive
question?
him to the airport on my bike, and that's
hold his
saying a
hand
lot.
and walk him there.
So my question to you is, because obviously defense is the glaring need, and Rasmus Dahlin is obviously the guy that everyone's coveting, as well as Adam Boqvist. What in our system right now? Who do you like the most as a defenseman? Just so the people that are listening to this, it's going to be a transitioning here for the next few years. So I mean, people are going to want people to look at what's the defenseman that really intrigues you the most?
Probably the best defenseman in our system as far as a combination of speed and talent and just overall play is Filip Hronek. I'd be surprised if he didn't get a call up by the end of the year. Him and Hicketts are most likely our next. If we have to play two kid defensemen next year, it's going to be Hicketts and Hronek. The next one that's really, really close behind is Vili Saariarvi.
Mm-hmm.
He's fast. He's smart. He's a little small, but he's got crazy hockey IQ, and he's got a good first pass out of the zone. Beyond that, not much.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. Although I will say one thing, and I'm not sure how much you've seen of him because I believe he was just drafted this year. Kaspar Kansalo, he's playing at Boston University, and as you guys know, I live in Boston, so I'm actually a BU fan. I get to go and see them play. I like his game. I don't know how much you've seen of his game. I think that's another guy that's going to be intriguing. Your thoughts, quick.
I watched him a little bit in the juniors, the World Juniors. He looked good. Who's that other kid from Denmark that I can't for the life of me remember his name right now?
Malte Setkov.
He's the other one. Yeah, Malte Setkov looked real good. He's playing in a men's league. Same with Gustav Lindstrom.
Yes.
They could be. I mean, they were just drafted and they could be good, but they've got to get into the AHL, see what they can do, or keep going in their men's leagues over in Sweden to see how they go. Because I think one of them's playing for the Red Hawks and they're doing pretty well. Cholowski is the other one.
He's playing for the Red Hawks.
Yeah, he's playing for Malmo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cholowski is the other one that I don't. I mean, I need to see him play at a level higher than OHL. I mean, OHL, sure, if you're tearing it up, they're good, but we've seen plenty of players go from the OHL to the AHL and just fall flat.
He did a pretty good job in college with St. Cloud State. Bob Motzko is a pretty good coach. And I will just say one other thing. I did see him play in person. I know preseason hockey is a joke, but he did do a pretty good job. The Bruins stacked their entire team, and Cholowski, I think, was the number one defenseman on the team. And he played.
Yeah, he looks good. He looks good. I think not making Team Canada pissed him off, which might be what he needed to elevate his game. But he looks good, and I'm excited to see what the kids can do. They just have to give them a chance to do it. That's what what hopefully this trade deadline will bring is open spots and picks. Because if we don't win the lottery and get the first pick, maybe we can trade 2 first-round picks to move up. And get Dahlin, or move up and get Svechnikov. So
the other thing is you don't need number 1 overall. You can get number 2 or 3, and you can get. Everyone keeps asking, well, who's the second guy? Well, Adam Boqvist is another defenseman. And I can't remember the other guy's name, but there was one scouting report that said his upside is Erik Karlsson offensively. So, I mean.
Well, yeah, you could even get Quinn Hughes.
That's something I'd definitely be interested in. Yes, Quinn Hughes out of the University of Michigan is another guy.
Yeah, this whole draft is stacked, and if we can get somehow a first-round pick for Mike Green and have 2 first rounds, if we can get another second-round pick in a trade, we'd have 3 second-round picks. So, I mean, we're gonna fill our talent pool here pretty quickly, but I mean, we're gonna not be good for a few years.
Here's the question, though. But that's a good in some ways, that is not the worst thing in the world, because then at least you have a chance at getting some of these guys, and then at the same time you also you start to see a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. Like, this is just a lull of suck, basically. And I think we're all tired of this.
Yeah, I was on Twitter talking to a Brazil Red Wings fan account, which is weird. There's a bunch of Red Wings fans in Brazil, apparently.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, and they were telling me, they're like, well, we're just going to keep being mediocre because all the Red Wings fans care about is the playoffs. And I'm like, actually, all the Red Wings fans over here, we're done with it. We don't care. We don't want to make the playoffs so we can fix this team so that we're not garbage for 10 years. Yeah, so we're not the kind of team that for some teams, rebuilding on the fly works because they have some younger players already that can mature as they get older, and so do we. But we also have, like, Zetterberg's not getting any younger, Nielsen's not getting any younger, DeKeyser's not getting any better. So rebuild on the fly is really not going to work for us.
Yeah, but at the same time, like everyone says, I'll tear it all down. You can't really tear it all down because, number one, no one's taking those contracts. And number two, you're not bad enough to tear it all the way down. And at the same time, why are you going to trade Larkin? Why are you going to trade Mantha? Why are you going to trade Athanasiou, Mrazek?
Oh, you're not.
All those? You're not. There's no point. So you're not rebuilding and stripping it down all the way. You're going to strip it down some, but not all the way. I think they can do something similar to what the Philadelphia Flyers did a few years ago. They kind of sucked for a few years, but they didn't bottom out completely. I think that's what the Red Wings are going to be looking at. But
yeah, I think we could tear it down 75% of the way. Keep a core, shove some of the guys that you've been putting on the second and third line down to the fourth line, and just retool. But I mean, I think 75% rebuild is what the Red Wings are going to have to go through, along with management, which is what we're gonna talk about next.
Yes. Let me just say one other thing, and then we can move on to the next subject. We talk about all those first-round picks, and we talked about maybe getting some second-round picks. That's all well and good if you have, someone at the helm that's going to be there long-term. What is going on with Ken Holland? Have you seen anything? I know you're really big into seeing rumors and stuff like that. Have you seen anything on Ken Holland possibly being out of here besides the Vancouver report?
No, the Vancouver report's squashed now because they rehired Benning. They signed Benning to a longer contract. But
that's right. You did.
My thing with, I'm almost certain he's going to be gone based on interviews they've been doing recently. The Red Wings themselves recently did an interview, I think it was Red Wings themselves, with Draper, asking about his current role in the organization, where he sees the organization going, and basically saying, yeah, if Holland's gone, then Draper's going to be the next GM, which, I mean, okay, but that's not really helping when the organization is the issue.
Yeah, I mean, the organization needs a retool. Although I've heard from a lot of people that Draper is a good hockey guy when it comes to making. Well, we'll see when it comes to making decisions, but on talent evaluation himself, I mean, he did learn from one of the best. I mean, hopefully he'll use his own stuff, but he did learn from one of the best, there ever has been. I mean, he did build the Red Wing. Jimmy D can get a lot of credit for it, but Ken Holland kept it afloat for a long time. So.
Yeah, that's all I've seen, though. I mean, the good thing is there's been no rumors of them talking with Holland about an extension, and that's the last thing we need is an extension for Holland. So I think he's out. I think they'll let his contract run up, but they'll have to hire someone real quick to get in and start planning the draft, because this is a big draft year and they can't afford to screw it up.
What the Red Wings should do, and this is where we'll end it here, what the Red Wings should do is what the Tigers did with Dombrowski. Why are you gonna hire or fire? Why are you gonna let the end of the year run out and not have a new GM take a look at what he's got on the ice even with 10 games left? At least that GM has something to go off of other than some video and everything like that. That's what I don't understand about it. The Tigers did a pretty good job. I mean, Al Avila, you can say whether you like him or not, but the Tigers did a good thing. They fired Dombrowski with 50 games left or something like that. They let Avila come in and then take 50 games and look and see what was good with the Tigers. And I think the Wings need to do that because otherwise you're throwing this new GM into the fire. He's going to have to draft a bunch of people. He has no idea what the hell's going on unless it is Draper.
Yeah, that's why that's the only reason I think they're going to hire someone within the organization, because if they were going to have to go from outside, I mean, you'd have to fire Holland within the next month or so, just to be able to get someone in, get them acclimated, let them know, like get them used to the systems, and then get them started to work on the draft, because this is a very, very important deep draft, and this draft depends on whether the Red Wings flounder for 5 years or start to come back in 2 or 3. So.
Right.
But the next thing we're going to talk about is just the job Jeff Blashill has been doing. And Tyler, I know that Jeff Blashill is probably one of your top 5 favorite coaches of all time. But I'm going to let you start on our talk about Jeff Blashill.
Yeah, Jeff Blashill. I mean, I wanted the guy to succeed because, Mike Babcock had a great run here, and, it seemed like the guys were starting to get sick of him. And, a lot of reports are that Babcock was really hard on the guys. Well, now you see that apparently that didn't work, or that worked because the teams made the playoffs then. Now you bring Blashill in. He doesn't say much. It doesn't look like he says much to the boys on the bench. He says in his post-game press conferences, "Oh no, I didn't even talk to the guys." What do you mean you didn't talk
trust
to
the
the
process.
guys? Yeah, trust the process. If I hear one more thing about the process, I'm going to go absolutely insane. This winged wheel is a sacred winged wheel, and he's taking this winged wheel and destroying it. Taking all the lug nuts out of it and putting breaking all the spokes. That's what he's doing to the winged wheel. And I don't know how much longer he's going to have this job, because at the same time, I think that the Red Wings have to wait and see who gets fired at the end of this year to hire somebody else. But at the same time, if you're Ken Holland and your management and your ownership, how much longer can you look at a Red Wings team going into Tampa? They're down 2-0. Yeah, they've played okay. But the other night against the Islanders, blowing that game almost, it seems like the message is just not getting through. I mean, you almost blow the game against the Islanders, and then you do blow the game against the Caps, and then Thomas Tatar bails you out. So, I mean,
yep.
He's got to go. I don't know when it is, whether it be after the season, but he's got to go. He's not the future here in Detroit.
Yeah, I was a huge Jeff Blashill supporter for about the first 6 months that he was in as a coach. And then earlier this year, everyone started ragging on him. And I'm like, half of this isn't his fault because of the team he's been given, because of the contracts that Holland has signed. But his recent actions in promising Athanasiou more ice time and then putting him on the 4th line with garbage players, or completely sitting him. Athanasiou was sat the last game. He sat him.
Yep.
So I came up with a term called blashing. That is what Jeff Blashill does. It is to sit a player or demote them to a lower line for seemingly no good reason other than they need to be better, while playing veteran players who make the same, if not worse, mistakes. That is the definition of blashing. He will play people like Jonathan Ericsson who literally turn the puck over. It's like their job. It's Jonathan Ericsson puck to give it to the opposite team and let them score. And if he doesn't do that, if he plays well, he'll get benched. But to bench someone like Athanasiou and say he's got stuff to be say vague stuff like he has things he needs to work on, if he's in, you have a better chance of winning the game if he's in the lineup. I don't care if he's an asshole, if he's got an attitude problem. Work on that later. But if you want to try to win games, you play him.
Well, there's an awful lot of attitude
Jeff Blashill,
problems.
he was okay for a while, and then he kind of took the I don't want to say the Babcock turn, but he's like Mike Babcock without the fieriness, I guess. Mike Babcock, I feel, has a huge compete level, and he can get angry and he can yell and stuff like that. But I think Babcock has the same mentality, but can't enforce it.
But you said Babcock, you meant Blashill. Babcock.
Yeah, Blashill.
What makes Babcock great, yes, is the fieriness, and and everything. But he gets the most out of his team, and it doesn't seem like Jeff Blashill gets the most out of the team. I don't know if that means I don't know what the reason behind that is. If he's just not a good coach, or if he the team doesn't looks at him and it's like this guy's a joke or what. But I think it's more or less like Babcock was hard on the guys. Blashill's not hard on the guys, and so some of the guys, like you said, the Kaiser and maybe Tatar have kind of given up. Now, on a coach that cares and is going to sit these guys, if there was a coach in there right now that could get the most out of this team might be a playoff team. They don't look good on paper. They are much better than they played. I promise you that. They are much better than they played. This coach has a lot to do with it. Not everything. They may not be a playoff team, but they may be a lot closer than they are right now, because you'd have guys like Larkin and Mantha and Athanasiou playing on the first line, playing prominent roles. You might not have guys like Eriksson and DeKaiser and these guys. Oh, you know what else? There might be some disciplinary actions with guys like Eriksson when he gives the puck away or takes a stupid-ass penalty when the game's on the line. There might be disciplinary actions. You ever heard of that? That's been a long time since you've seen that.
Yeah, I feel like what he tries to do is he goes by the analogy that you can still teach young players how to fix their game, but you can't teach old players, so you just let them do whatever they're going to keep doing because you can't change them. But that's not an excuse. Like, move your players that are making dumbass decisions down to a different line. Play them less. No, they consistently put people like Eriksson out there and give them top minutes. Just keep doing it. He's great defenseman, right? No,
you realize he's on the first.
It's not working. Right? Yeah, so some of the decisions that have been made, like the first power play unit, infuriates me. You put like Nicholas Kronwall is like on the first power play unit. That first power play unit should be Larkin, Mantha, Athanasiou, Nyquist, and then like Trevor Daley or Mike Green. That should be power play unit. Well, you need a defenseman. Like one defenseman.
Yeah, okay. Not Nyquist. So then Ferk, and then
put Ferk there instead of Nyquist. But the thing is, you're going to put Zetterberg, Kronwall, Glendening, like Abdelkader. Why do you that's not even trying.
I would be fine if you did Larkin, Athanasiou, and Abdelkader just as a net front presence or something. And then did Ferk, and you did, let's just say, Hickett's on the point. That's where you start to get younger. That's where you start to give, the coach would have trust in the younger players. This coach has no trust in the younger players, with the exception of Larkin.
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, Blashill, I think, too, is going to be gone at the end of the – I think him and Holland will both be gone at the end of the season.
Yeah.
Next year, like I said, next year's – I texted you this earlier. Next year's going to look a lot different from a management position and a team position, because if they don't do anything in – like if they're a trade deadline bust and they only trade Mike Green – and I mean, the fans are going to stop going to the games. That's what's going to. I mean, more than they've already stopped going to the games.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the people have just said, you know what? If you're not going to put a product on the ice, or at least give us something to look forward to down the line, then we're not going to come. We're going to watch the games at home, or not watch the games at home, but we're not going to come. We're going to still wear your merchandise, we're still going to have whatever, but we're not coming to your games anymore until you figure out that this isn't just a business, this is an entertainment thing where you have to put a decent product on the ice.
Yeah, I mean, we're still fans. I don't care how bad the team is. I'm still a fan. But
I am too.
The only way to get them to change something is to stop giving them direct money by going to the games. That's the only way you can change it. I mean,
they see it. I think they see it, to be honest with you. I think they're starting to see it. I think at first, this year, they were like, you know what? Everyone's going to come no matter what. It's a brand new arena. It's the Red Wings. It doesn't matter. No. If your team isn't competitive, and your team acts like they have zero direction, it's like a girl that you're going to date, right? A hot girl that you're going to date might like you, and then she finds out you have no direction in life. She's going to be like, no, I'm done with you. I want to find someone that has a direction. I want to find someone that knows what he's doing. This team has no idea what they're doing. I'm convinced, no idea. And it's infuriating because I live here in Boston, and I have to hear it every fucking last day of my life from my dad. I work at a hockey shop, so at the people at the hockey shop, the people I work with, people come in, oh, the Bruins won again. Okay, great. My Red Wings just lost again. So, like, it gets frustrating, but, yeah, of course you got to be a fan. But it's just, it's frustrating, and that's why we do this.
Yeah. I think a lot of it will be fixed, though. Hopefully, like, Blashill can't stay. And I don't know who we're going to get as a coach. I don't know who's available. I really hope
who gets fired. That's the best way to do it, I think.
Yeah, I really hope they don't try and do the whole, well, let's promote Todd Nelson now. Give him another chance because he won a Calder Cup. We need someone new, or we need either someone brand new that's never coached in the NHL before, or we need a person that's been in the NHL for a long time.
Yeah, so, I think it's the latter, because when we were doing this podcast before, and this was probably a while back. This is when we had Max here still. We were talking about the Jeff Blashill thing. This was probably about a year and a half into it or something like that. And basically I said, you're the Detroit Red Wings. Yes, I know you can't spend money like you used to, and you can't just, for lack of a better term, buy your team and, augment it by paying. But at the same time, you're still an iconic franchise. You're like the Boston Red Sox or the New York Yankees of the NHL. Like, you should have a top coach. You should have a good coach. You should have a coach that has at least some idea of what he's doing. I think this guy has no idea what he's doing. I've talked to people. I'm not going to name names because that's not something I'm on here to do, is blow up people's spots. But I've talked to people that basically say that Jeff Blashill has no idea what he's doing, and that, he did well in all his other stops because, he is a decent coach, but in the NHL, he's never going to crack it unless, he's somewhere else, like Dan Bilesma with Pittsburgh, or, Mike Sullivan with Pittsburgh or something like that. You know what I mean? And I think that they need to bring in somebody like Daryl Sutter if he wants to do it again. I'm not sure that he wants to go through a rebuild, so that might be out of it. That might be out. I don't know what's going to happen with the current NHL coaches right now. You could also look into college. You could look at David Quinn at Boston University. He's coming up soon. You could really, if you wanted to, I'm not sure that his contract is up, but I'm sure you could go knock on Tony Granato's door at Wisconsin and see, hey, look, the Red Wings head coaching job is up. Would you want to interview for it? And I think that would be a good way to go. I just think that you can't bring someone else up from Grand Rapids. You can't bring someone up from Toledo. You need to bring someone in, either brand new or someone that has been here in the past with success at some point before.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I mean, what's Daryl Sutter doing?
I think he's just on his farm out in Western Canada waiting for another opportunity, or maybe just retired. I'm really not too sure. But I do think that would be a good way. I also think that maybe a package deal. Daryl Sutter, bring him in as a coach, bring Dean Lombardi as a GM, and see what happens with that. I mean, they're going to have to get creative. They can't just bring up Draper and bring up Todd Nelson and say, oh, yeah, here we go, you changed it. No. They need to do something similar to what the Tigers did with Brad Ausmus. Get rid of Brad Ausmus. Bring in someone that has a lot of experience, Ron Gardenhire. Something similar to that.
Yeah.
I think that would be okay with the fans. Do you think fans will start to come back, or do you think it's going to be like, going to be difficult for people to start coming back to LCA?
No, I think the fans will come back. I think ticket prices need to go down. They're completely insane still. I'm not going with the product that they have right now. I'm not paying $75 for upper bowl tickets. That's not happening.
That's insanity. That really is.
No.
It's insanity.
What me and a friend did was we went and sat at a bar on StubHub at the arena, and at one point while we were sitting there, tickets went down like on the glass tickets for $35. So
yeah, no one wants to see this team play. There's no direction. Like I said before, there's zero direction. Once people start to see a light at the end of the tunnel, once people start to see prospects, not just prospects doing well in Grand Rapids, but prospects doing what Charlie McAvoy did at the World Juniors, playing for the United States or Russia or whoever, that's when people will start to say, hey, look, we have somewhat of a direction. Look, I can't wait to see Eli Tolvanen. I can't wait to see X player. I can't wait to see Charlie McAvoy in a red. You know what I mean? That's when people will start to say, look, this is when we're coming back. And those may be the fair weather fans, but you know what? It is what it is. It's what have you done for me lately kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think what we're going to try and do next week is a mailbag. So if we get some questions from the people who are listening, if you can shout out your questions either to at me at Bringing the Wing, or if you want to shout them out to Tyler, or if you want to shout them out to the Winged Octopus Twitter account, or DM them to us, or whatever you want to do. I think we're going to try and do a mailbag next week and try and answer all of your questions. And that'll be still before trade deadline. So if you have any trade deadline questions, let us know. If you have any questions about the team overall, if you want any of our opinions, if you want to know what our favorite ice cream flavor is, whatever, I don't care. Just send us some questions to any of the Winged Octopus Twitter peoples, and we'll go ahead and put them down, and we'll shout you out, and we'll answer your questions next week on a mailbag. But I think that's all we have for this week's podcast, Tyler.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Wish me luck. I'm going to Boston to see the Red Wings at the beginning of March. I think it's the 6th. So wish me luck.
Make sure you bring your heart bag.
We haven't won there since like 2014. So that should be really interesting. Anyways, so you can follow me on Twitter at Tyler_Seely. You can follow at Greg on Twitter at Bringing the Wing. You can follow me on Twitter at Tyler_Seely. Did I say that already? I hope not. You can also follow us on Twitter, like I said, Winged Octopus. You can like us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Instagram. We might have a special guest coming up here in the next few weeks. So that's just a hint there.
Yeah, we might have a couple, right?
Yeah, a couple. Definitely one. I don't know about the other, but we're trying. We're trying real hard. That's actually going to be one thing we're going to be doing here going forward, trying to get a guest maybe every other show or something. Anyways, from Greg, I'm Tyler here. Tess, hopefully, everything's good. We'll talk to you guys next week, and go Wings. Hopefully they can beat Tampa Bay here. Stay classy, Hockey Town.